that's why I wonder. Either we have the best listeners in the world, or we have the quietest listeners in the world. Because I feel like we get so many things wrong, and no one ever corrects us.
They're so polite.
Maybe
Very
the
polite.
best listeners are the most quiet listeners.
Maybe the silent majority, as they say. All right, so let's move on to something a little less polite than our wonderful listeners and viewers, which is the Suicide Squad. Got a whole special here we're going to do about the upcoming movie. First thing we're going to do is set a little backstory for the Suicide Squad because, as I understand it, you guys aren't too familiar with who they are. So the modern incarnation is commonly referred to as Task Force X. It's a covert strike team made up of incarcerated death row supervillains. They act as a deniable covert assets for the United States government. The members of the Suicide Squad undertake high-risk Black Ops missions in exchange for commuted prison sentences. The group operates out of Belle Reve Penitentiary, and it's under the directorship of Amanda Waller. And in the DC universe, they kind of use this as an excuse for how supervillains keep coming back. Like, we keep putting them in jail, and they keep getting out. Why? Well, it's because they go through this little Task Force X program, and if they survive, they get to go free.
That seems like a really, really bad idea.
Let's do that in real life.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not like a Suicide Squad. That's your chances aren't that bad squad.
It's like a Russian roulette squad.
Well, if you send out 6 supervillains and one of them comes back, it's a net positive, right?
And then it depends from whose view you're looking at. There.
Right.
Plus, it gives us, months, if not years, more of new comic adventures.
Absolutely. So let's discuss who the members are of this Suicide Squad. So there have been many, many incarnations throughout the years. They actually started in the Golden Age, but they weren't well defined back then. So in recent years, the usual suspects have been Amanda Waller, of course, as the director, Rick Flag, who's mostly portrayed as a disgraced soldier. Deadshot, who is of course a villain. He's an assassin, a paid gun for hire, who somehow keeps getting captured, usually by Batman, I assume. And Captain Boomerang, who is really a D-level, just kind of a psychopath who throws boomerangs. That's really who he is. Those 3, for whatever reason, have been in most incarnations of the Suicide Squad.
That's probably because they keep getting caught again.
Yeah,
As soon as they
probably.
get gone. Like he's trying to throw boomerangs at Batman and it just never goes well.
He gets a batarang in the face. So recent incarnations have kind of upgraded the squad. They've added Harley Quinn, El Diablo as regular members. They've added some heavier hitters, such as King Shark, the Enchantress, Katana, things like that. Some real known villains as opposed to just D-list people. Although the squad is also usually filled out with characters you never heard of, just so they can kind of not make it back from the mission. So in this movie, the squad
Would those
is...
be the red shirts of Star Trek?
Those would be the red shirts of the Suicide Squad. So in the movie version, we have Waller, we have Rick Flag, we have Deadshot, we have Captain Boomerang. Harley Quinn and El Diablo are there as well. The King Shark role looks to be played by Killer Croc in the movie version. Enchantress is there, Katana is there, and I believe we have our red shirt in a villain named Slipknot, who's there in the early promos, but if you look at the promos from late in the movie, Slipknot is nowhere to be seen.
And I actually looked this up because I wanted to see what he did, and he's really good with knots.
Okay.
That's not a joke. He does knots.
Are you sure that's not a joke?
It's not a joke. So he's been to Boy Scout camp, is what you're saying.
Basically, he's got all his badges.
Now, the one wild card in the movie is the appearance of the Joker. As far as I've known, any research I've done, Joker has never been a member of the Suicide Squad. However, he is definitely confirmed for the movie. He's in the trailers. He's there doing something. So we got to wonder who he is, what he's doing in this Suicide Squad movie. So I'm going to ask you guys, what's your history with the Suicide Squad in the comic books? I think we know the answer to that, but I'll ask it anyway. What's your interest level in the movie? And does this Suicide Squad movie improve the DC cinematic universe, in your opinion? And do you think it can save it in the course of public opinion? So who wants to start with these questions here? Phil?
I know nothing about the Suicide Squad. Some of the characters I'm familiar with, but only because they've had smaller roles in larger books that I read. Looking forward to see Will Smith. I think the thing that really sold me on it, strangely enough, is Viola Davis as Amanda Waller. I'm looking forward to seeing her in a role like that. It's kind of like throwaway. Was it you, Mitch, that recently talked about a forthcoming comic book about kind of like a wet squad of government agents who accidentally mess things up, and now the government's just going to come kill them? This kind of gets into the this is like anti-hero, right? How do you root for bad guys? And I guess if you're going to, this is how you would set it up, because they're killing worse guys, right? Or doing bad things to worse guys. Anyway, I'm interested in the movie. Again, I know we know Leto's Joker is a little bit of a mystery as to why he's in the film, but I'm interested in seeing it. I'm interested in seeing Harley Quinn. I guess I'll leave it at that for now. I see the other, the topics coming up.
Do you have any opinion on the DC universe? I know a lot of people thought it was kind of hindered by Batman vs Superman. Can this redeem it?
Well, it's interesting because we talk about the dark DC universe, and certainly Batman vs Superman didn't do anything to lift that thing. And so now we are coming again with a movie like this. There aren't any heroes here. Now they might be, working for the benefit of mankind in this film, but they're not, there's no one here you're going to put a poster on your wall and want to be like without people worrying about you, right? So I don't think it's going to do anything to change the opinion that DC's movies are dark, though we've seen, obviously, previews of things to come. I saw the only Batman vs Superman that I saw was the recently released on extended cut, and I liked it. That's something I will watch again. There was nothing about it that made me go, that made me angry. So to that end, tentative no, it's not going to hurt the DC universe unless it stinks. There's so many times I feel like I've said this on this show. It's like if they do this wrong, it's going to hurt. There's some things you can get wrong and people will forgive you, but I don't think this would be one of them. So, and like no other movie in recent memory, I really have trailer fatigue for Suicide Squad. I feel like, it's like by the end of this movie, will we have discovered that we saw all the movie already before we paid for the ticket?
Yeah, it seems that way. And to your point about having these villains on your wall as posters, I saw a disturbing Hot Topic has now a Joker and Harley Quinn line of clothes.
Dear God, help us.
Yeah, definitely. So, Raphael, what's your history? What's your thoughts?
Well, it was around the time that the movie was coming out where I was like, well, I have no idea what the hell Suicide Squad is, so I, asked Alec and you guys, and you guys described it to me, and I think I was like, so basically Marvel's Thunderbolts? And they were like, yeah, but, I think DC did it first. I was like, oh, okay, well, at least I know the premise. I get it right away. I've read stuff like that before. It's just the DC equivalent, or Marvel's DC equivalent, however you want to see it. But I think it's an interesting premise for a movie, and at the same time, it seems to have garnered a lot of attention from people who don't read comics for some reason. And I think I see that DC has kind of pulled out the big guns, that being Will Smith, for this. So I think that's going to bring a whole lot of people in, despite what the movie's about or, what the premise is or you know, a lot of people are just going to go to see the actors they like a lot. Um, Putting Harley Quinn was a really smart choice because she has so many inherent fans. So, you know, I think they marketed it very well and they selected people very well. But in terms of the movie, I kind of almost think it's like the Suicide Squad itself, where DC can lose on this one and still be okay, because none of these characters are so major that like it's like, oh, you made a bad Superman movie, like we're gonna remember that bad Superman movie you made. But it's like, oh, you made a movie full of like D-list characters that no one's ever heard of, and it didn't do that great. Like, I don't think you can lose that much. So I think they're really putting like a lot into this, but at the end of the day, if they end up losing out on it, if it's not a great movie, it's still not going to be so bad that it ends like, you know, future like DC movies. It might just, you know, further erode their reputation for, you know, hyping things up, but I don't think it's going to be like any nail in the coffin. So
I think one thing I am looking forward to in Suicide Squad though is the Batman cameo, and then kind of in a broader scheme of things to see if that Batman cameo matters down the road.
yeah, from the trailers that I've seen, like I know you've seen like pieces of Batman. I know I saw him like on top of I think the Joker's car.
Yeah.
And when I first saw that, I was really surprised. I was like, "Oh, you're seeing Batman in this trailer, and he's not heavily featured." Like, if the movie can stand on its own without having that cameo like really play into it, I think that speaks towards like one of the strengths of the movie. But you know, we've had so much revealed to us, but we haven't had it revealed to us in any like concrete fashion. So it's hard to even estimate what the movie's going to be like, despite the fact that we've probably seen more than half of it.
Mhm. Yeah, we have seen a lot of trailers, and yeah, you make a good point there about the Batman trailer being kind of standalone, and that makes me wonder if the whole Joker stuff is standalone. If Joker doesn't really have a lot to do with the plot, he's more backstory for Harley Quinn, backstory for maybe the reason why they formed the Suicide Squad.
That seems like a
Could be.
huge way to just get people's money.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's not going to go very well with fans if he's only in there for like 15 minutes.
Well, they never do that on like the cover of a comic book.
Right. I think that's the one red flag I have for this movie is the Joker. What's he doing there? Is he just going to be a cameo that they're hyping up because Joker is obviously the number one character in this movie in terms of who knows who he is. Next would be Harley Quinn, but Joker's the biggest villain in the DC universe. So that could be one way that it hurts the film. If maybe this is just a setup for the Batman film. But my history with the comics is I've read a few of the graphic novels with the Suicide Squad. It's a very interesting idea of what they do and where they fit into the DC universe. I wasn't real interested in this movie to begin with, but after seeing all the trailers and the hype, and I am kind of more interested than I was to begin with. So I don't really have the trailer fatigue like Phil does. I don't really mind if I see this whole movie beforehand because I kind of have an idea of what it's going to be anyway, reading the comics. So I'm not in there with all that spoiler stuff. And I think it's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy type film for the DC universe, where it's going to get the casual fans to go in and enjoy this weird, crazy action movie, and the hardcores will get all the references, and I think it'll be a good film for the DC extended universe. All right, any last thoughts on that before we move on to predictions? Okay, so we're going to end this on a bit of a fun note here. We're going to go through our official comics community rating system of good, bad, and mediocre. So I want your predictions. Will this movie be good, bad, or mediocre? Meaning, will you like it, will you not like it, or will you not really care? Either way. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I think it will be mediocre towards good. I think it will be yes. Yes. Mediocre siding towards good.
All right, Phil's already going against the rating system here.
Wait a minute. I can only pick one. If I can only pick one, it'll be good.
All right, so you're gonna slide toward good. All right,
I'll go with
I'm gonna write these down, and we're
okay.
gonna come back to them afterwards, after the movie's over. And we're gonna tally up who's gonna win. All right, so Raphael, what's your prediction here?
I'm gonna say bad, but in the Michael Jackson sense of the word bad, where bad kind of means good. On the Raphael scale, it's 3.5 Ghost Rider skulls out of 5, which is actually mediocre. So I don't know what you want to do about that. If you want to do like a conversion table, we can get that set up. But
That sounds like a mediocre to me, Alec.
yeah, it's mediocre.
All right, so 3.5 Ghost Rider heads / mediocre good bad.
We should make that our rating system as Ghost Rider heads. Marvel will let us.
All
I
right,
mean,
so
just flaming skulls, that's all.
just flaming skulls. All right, so I'm gonna go with the good prediction. I think this is gonna be a positive film for the DC universe. I think it's gonna do well. So next, let's move on to something hopefully a little more tangible, something you'll have to. I'll be able to nail you down on this one. What will the Rotten Tomato score be for this? Now, if you know, Rotten Tomatoes has become sort of the internet's aggregator for movie opinions. And to give you a little background, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is sitting at 29%.
Yikes.
So
Let's make this interesting, and whoever gets closest wins something at the shop next time you go in.
There's nobody here who has the right to do that, but yes, I agree.
all right,
We should get one of those artist editions.
yes,
Could we give a range of 10?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, whoever's closest within a range of 10.
whoever gets it perfect, I'll give them $20 store credit at the.
Oh, Mitch is throwing in the big bucks.
That's right.
I will match $5, which is not matching at all.
All right, $25 store credit for whoever gets it on the nose.
Well, I'll take your money, and my prediction is it's going to get. Well, my range is that it will be between 70 and 80. I will say 78.
All right. All right, that's a good score. Positive side of things. Raphael, how do Ghost Rider heads equate to percentages? Some help calculation table.
Ghost Rider heads were formerly banned from Rotten Tomatoes about 3 years back.
Okay.
And I haven't visited the site since. But I'm going to go ahead and call between 50 and 60%.
Ooh.
I'm going to assume 57%.
Wow, all right. So I'm going to be optimistic.
I know how harsh Rotten Tomatoes is. So.
Yeah, that's true. They are a little. That might bring mine down a little. You know, can I go for $1? Is that an option? I'll make that be my first prediction is $1. Then I think I'm going to go high. I'm going to say between 80 and 90%. I'm going to go 84%.
Wow, you are putting down some serious faith in this movie.
That's a 6-point spread between you and me.
Definitely. I think it's going to be gangbusters with the critics.
I can feel that artist edition's coming.
Yeah, they're just looking for a different kind of superhero movie, and I think this is going to be the one. So speaking of that, let's go with weekend box office. Weekend domestic box office. What's your prediction? Background, Batman vs. Superman, you might be surprised to hear this, did an amazing $170 million domestic for their opening weekend.
Well, I'm not a good predictor of box office. I say it'll get it the number one. It'll win that week. Is that enough, or do you want like dollar amounts?
Oh, we're going with dollar amounts here, for sure.
All right. Well, then I will say it will win with $250 million.
Oh my goodness. $250 million.
Yeah.
Opening weekend domestic box office.
Yeah.
Phil is swinging large. All right, Raphael, what do you got for box office here?
I'm going to say, if my math checks out, I'm gonna say about tree fitting.
About tree fitting?
Tree fitting.
About tree fitting.
Wow. You guys are swinging for it. All right. So I'm undercutting, going back to my $1 philosophy here.
Like on The Price is Right, you're the jerk who bids $1.
Yeah. I'm going with 150 million, which even I think that might even be a little high, but you guys have driven my price up.
I want to clarify that was $3.50.
Okay.
Tree fitting.
There's 250 million jujubes.
All right, so the final one here, I don't know if you guys have a
Oh, I
prediction.
do.
This is the tiebreaker. Should there be a tie in our calculations, I want you to predict a plot point that is not in the trailers that will be in the film.
Well, this is a kind of a snarky answer, and I don't know if it counts as a plot point. But here's my answer, and tell me if you need more detail. The first third of the movie, we will be introduced slowly, one by one, to all the characters, and kind of introduced to the mission they're going to undergo. The second third of the movie will be where the characters are all learning how to get along together as they train for the mission that they're about to go on. And then the last part of the movie will be where they all actually do it. And there will be one or two characters who are having troubles the whole time who will come together in the battlefield. Meanwhile, the Joker and Harley Quinn all have their own subplot going on behind the scenes that will carry on to films yet to come.
So let's boil that down to a Joker Harley Quinn subplot.
Okay. Okay.
Because you just told us the whole movie. We don't even need to go watch it.
Okay.
All right, Raphael, I assume you've got something fun cooked up for this.
I assume that at least halfway through the movie, Deadshot will get into some sort of fight, and he'll have to move to Bel Air with his own. And from there, the movie will be quite the tangent. Won't be anything that we've seen in the trailers, but it will be a fun, plucky family comedy. And I think that's what's going to earn it that tree fitting.
So Deadshot will become the Fresh Prince of Bel Air?
I didn't use those words. You use those words.
Yes, Mitch. Come on now.
Okay. Will become the Fresh Shot of Bel Air. Family comedy. You're predicting a family comedy.
Family friendly. Take the kids.
All right.
It's going to be fun for everybody.
Yeah, by the way, is Will Smith doing the theme song that's going to play at the end of the credits? That's my prediction, is that Will Smith does the theme song that plays in the end of the credits.
I will pay to see the movie just for that. I will pay to see just that.
All right, so I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to steal my subplot here, my plot point from comic books.
Mm.
One of the Suicide Squad trades that I read bears a strong resemblance to what they're doing. So I'm predicting the technovirus subplot will be in this movie from the comic books. Because in that plot, well, in the comic books they did more of a Katrina allegory, where like there was this dome stadium full of people who were infected by a technovirus, and the Suicide Squad had to go in there and basically kill everyone. I don't think they're going to do that necessarily, but I think the technovirus, the subplot, will be in this movie. All right, so I think that's it. That's the end of our Suicide Squad special. I think that's the end of our special episode of Comics Community. To thank everybody for joining us. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Raphael. Any last minute things you want to say? Where people can reach you? Anything like that?
Well, just that there's a kitten on the table behind me over here whose name is Thor.
Oh, cute.
He's like all of 4 months old, and he has extra toes. But also, don't forget to tune in. Don't know when this is coming out exactly, but don't forget to tune in to the first episode of our second half of our 2016 season, which will be on or around August 15th.
Yay. Raphael?
Also, I am still locked in Phil's basement. Phil, please let me out. I haven't seen the sun in, I think, the past 30 days. If you're watching this please.
I noticed I've got to adjust my router. You were not coming through a time or two there.
Other than that, everything's good. Check out the podcast. I think I'm on the first episode, so all the more reason to watch it. I will be talking about Ghost Rider a lot.
Nice. All right. This is Mitch. You can find me at zebunation.com, zebu_nation on Twitter. And I would say that we're signing out, but I don't have the power to sign us out. Only Phil has the power to sign us out. So whenever Phil signs us out and his cat stops being so adorable,
No.
we'll see you later.
3, 2,